and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do the fifth and final Dreamcatcher from my watercolor kit that you can grab on Etsy. The kit is everything that you see here pretty much. You've got your watercolor dots. Obviously I've used mine. The instructions are on the back, and then it comes with 5 of my Dreamcatcher illustrations from Inktober. Show you all of those. And then this is the final one that I'm going to work on today, and it does come with a practice sheet as well. I also include a water brush so that you have everything that you need to get started. The water brush is great because you can travel with it. You just unscrew it, take the brush head off, and then you just fill it up with the water from your tap, and then you will be good to go. And then you just put that back on, and then take the cap off, and then you can use your brush. You just squeeze this part, the body of your brush, and the water comes out. Now you can activate your watercolor dots just by squeezing and adding some water, but I like to use an eyedropper. I just got these, like I got a bundle of them at Hobby Lobby, but you can get eyedroppers pretty much anywhere. And then I just add a dot of water to each, and it activates that in the same way that your brush would. And I just find that this is a little faster. I also wanted to point out in this final video that the colors have lasted this whole time while I've been working through each piece, and I think that's super important to point out. If you are deciding to purchase the kit, the watercolor dots that I provide for you, there is enough watercolor on this dot paper that you can complete all of the Dreamcatchers. So today, like I said, we're going to finish with this final Dreamcatcher that has a lot of leaves and reminds me of the fall, so it's appropriate for September. So let's go ahead and get started with that. As usual, I'm just going to speed up the video while I put on my washi tape and tape this down to my surface. Okay, now that I have it all taped down, let's begin the process. Now I'm going to do a wet on dry process, meaning that my paper is going to remain dry while I get the wet paint and apply it. I'm also going to kind of stick to like a fall theme as far as the colors go. The colors that I have provided for you are Daniel Smith watercolors, and if you want that list, I do list that on my Etsy shop, but I'm also going to list them this week down below so that you can go check out the Daniel Smith watercolors that I've been using throughout the series. I'm going to start with this leaf down here, and I am going to go in with the clover. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of that. I've pointed out before that the clover, when it separates, it gives you like some yellow tones, which is really nice. And if you're not familiar with watercolor, wet on dry means that you're pulling the wet paint over here, and then you're applying it to dry paper. And then I'm just going to fill in each one of these leaves. And as you can see, the willow, or not willow, as you can see, the clover can get pretty dark. You can get a super dark application with your watercolor. Now, watercolor is transparent, so if you feel like it's too thick and you can't see those lines through the back, you can pick some of that up just by going over it with the water. And if you need a little bit more water, you just squeeze your brush and you'll get a little bit more water coming out of your brush. So this one seems a little dark to me, so I'm just gonna pull my brush across and take some of that paint off, and you can see that it reveals some of that the lighter value underneath. So let me zoom out a little bit so you can see the bottom of the leaf here. So I'm just taking that and applying it down here, and then I'm just going to go throughout the whole thing. Okay, so I've got that all filled in. I'm going to go ahead and move over here to the leaves here. Now, I do want this to look fall, or almost like the leaves are beginning to change. I'm going to make this one yellow, but I'm going to wait because I want that to dry, and then I'm going to make this over here orange. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my Foxgrove. And these are names that I have made up for my watercolor dots page. They are not the official names of the Daniel Smith colors. That's why I'm going to provide them down below. So if you're interested in any of these colors, you can go check out, you know, what they're called from Daniel Smith. But I just took some liberties there because I really wanted to have fun with the watercolor dot page there. And stick with the theme. Okay, now that I have that all filled in, I'm going to go grab some of this hazelnut. And I don't want a lot of it, but I am going to run down the stem and then kind of into each leaf. So the leaf is still, it's still wet. The Foxgrove is still wet. So this is the perfect time to do this because then they can kind of blend into each other. And you don't have to go over the whole thing. You can just add a little bit just to maybe look like it's, you know, changing colors throughout the fall season. I'm going to do the same thing just so that I can kind of carry it throughout my piece up here. And I'm going to grab a little bit of that Foxgrove to make sure that it really stands out as orange. And then I'm going to, I was going to pick another one. I'm trying to figure out, I think I'm going to do this one here. So I've got that Foxgrove in there, nice and bright. And then just a little bit of the hazelnut to kind of give it that fall feeling. I think I'm going to add a little bit more down here. Now I talked about this in one of my other videos, but if you just kind of stipple, which is just moving your brush up and down and giving it these little dots, it will add some added texture. And here, I'll zoom in a little bit. It will add some added texture to your leaves. So you can take that brown color and just kind of put it kind of sparingly, but definitely you can see it. So this texture really gives the leaves that aged look. Obviously it's been picked from a tree, so you know, they're not living anymore, so we're giving it that kind of dried look. Okay, I'm going to go into this middle one with the sunburst. I am going to rinse or take that foxglove and the hazelnut off of my brush. You just squeeze and go back and forth and it will clean your brush. So now this is dried, so I feel more comfortable kind of working in between those pieces, and I don't have to worry about the two colors blending together. Now I definitely want to take that yellow up here as well, so I'm going to grab some more of that sunburst and just pick a couple of leaves and fill them in with that bright yellow, and just giving it that set of three balance there. Go back in with the hazelnut and kind of age it up a little bit. Make it look like a fall leaf for sure. Okay, nice. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of this sunburst and go back into the one down here. I feel like it needs just a little bit more yellow just to pop and balance off that top one there. Okay, nice, good. Okay, now I'm a big fan of purple, as you could probably tell from most of these videos, but I'm going to take the Sprightly purple and I'm going to make all of these strings that are attaching the leaves purple, like they're purple string or yarn. And I feel like purple is becoming more of a fall, well, it is a fall color. People use it for Halloween a lot as well. But that dark purple is definitely a fall favorite when it comes to a color scheme. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here too, so that it ties in there. And then I'm also going to go into every place, zoom in, every place that has like the string that's been tied together and there's almost like an appearance of a little bead there. I'm also going to make that purple as well. So it might not be as dominant, but I want it to be there still to really have that purple presence in the piece. You can kind of go out a little bit too. Actually, maybe we'll see what that looks like. Let me get all these in here. And then I'm going to go back and just kind of do like a little swirl. Yeah, that works. It just makes that purple a little more dominant and not so lost in the ink there. Yeah, I like that. Let me zoom out so you can see the whole thing. So I'm just going back over each connection there with the string and making sure that those are all filled in with the purple or sprightly color. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and rinse off my brush. And I'm going to go to the sweet pea color up here at the top. So I'm going to grab some of that and work on some of these other leaves. So I have this one here. And sweet pea is darker than clover. So it's definitely going to give you that darker color, just balancing out, but I don't want it to be so dark that I can't see the lines underneath, so I am gonna pull some of that off. And that's a preference. You can keep it dark if you like that better. And then I'm gonna go up and do this one, maybe grabbing a little bit more paint. I just don't want a lot of paint because sweet pea is a little more dominant of a color, and I still want that ink to come through. So the ink from the illustration to come through. And this one. Okay. And then as you can see, each of these are kind of, you can see the bends in the leaves. And so I'm going to go back in and I'm going to make each of those a little darker. And so that will give it that depth perception as though it is, you know, scooped or tucked in a little bit there. Yeah, that's good. And so then it looks like, you know, it's curving, has a little bit of movement to it. Okay. Nice. I'm going to go to the bottom, I think just a little bit on this one. And a little bit more. Okay, so I've got those three there, and they're playing well off of that green as well, even though this is clover and this one is sweet pea. And then I think the last one that I'm going to go in with is the sugarberry. And I'm going to do these last three leaves with the sugarberry. This is just going to give it that unexpected pop of color in the piece. So let me go up here, get this one. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to kind of make those parts that are curling up a little bit darker. Do the same up here. I'm going to go back over the bottom of the leaf there. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with my gold. I haven't used my gold, but I definitely like to use it in all of the pieces. So I'm going to grab some of that, and I'm going to go over the ring of the Dreamcatcher. And once this is dry, it will shimmer very nicely. This is probably one of my favorite golds. Oh, and it just went into that because it wasn't dry. Did you see that? Let me zoom down. I don't know if it can focus. There we go. So it just went into that leaf, and I really like it. I'm just going to leave it. It's a little wet still. Keep that in mind that the water will go where the water is still active and wet. So If you want to wait until everything dries and then apply the ring, then you won't have that bleed, but it doesn't bother me so much. I like little accidents that happen like that. I think it adds to your painting. I missed the tops of these leaves, so I'm going to grab some of the clover, and I still have the gold on it, which is fine. And I'm going to go over that one. Come all the way down. Okay. And I'm going to grab a little bit of the gold and just kind of add it sparingly to some of these leaves. Very sparingly. And it will just give it that shimmer of gold. And then I'm going to go back to this one. Do that stem. Come all the way down. Okay. And the yellow. Go back and get some sunburst and add that in. And I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. Okay. All right, nice. I think the last thing that I'm going to do is just go over each of these lines, and I believe that purple is dry. Yep, just wanted to check. And I'm going to go over each of these little strings that are attaching to the center of the Dreamcatcher. Okay, very good. And then I'm just going to zoom out here and remove the tape. And I kind of wiggle back and forth when I remove the tape because I don't want it to tear my paper. Okay. Sweet. Okay, so there's just one little thing that I don't want to forget, and that is these little dash marks that are representing the wind that is blowing in the illustration. And I'm going to go back through that with some fairy gold, because why not? So I'm just going to go through and kind of add the gold, and then it will just give it that nice sparkle. All right, good deal. I'm all done. I know some parts of it are still a little wet, but overall, I'm really happy with how that's turned out. So let's move this to the side, and let's look at all 5 pieces together. Okay, so this was week 1. If you want to go back and check that out, I will link it below. This was week 2. You can really see that gold shimmer now that it's dry. This was week 3. This was week 4. And then the final week 5. Okay, thank you so much for joining me throughout this watercolor Paint With Me series. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed it as well, just so that I can get some feedback. And I will plan some more Paint With Me's in the future, so be sure to subscribe, ring that bell so that you can be notified of when I'm going to put out a video again. Until next time, bye!